everybody. It's so good to see you. My name is Ernie Myers. I'm pastor of DC Church. You can call me Ernie, or you can call me Pastor Ernie. Oh, that's right, I forgot. My vacation Bible school name was the Ernie-nator. And that's me. We enjoyed having your children this week in Vacation Bible School. And kids, we were so happy to have you. I was fully involved all week long, meeting the kids, talking to the kids. I got a chance to drive the Vacation Bible School bus on a nice big bus route. People ask me, Ernie, are you tired? And I say, yes, I am. Yes, I'm tired. That's the way it goes. You know, there's a disease called Vacation Bible School-itis. It's kind of a cross between West Nile virus and Ebola. And anyway, a lot of us get it when Vacation Bible School week's over, and I'm fully in the throes of Vacation Bible School-itis. Anyway, we had a great time this week, and we got one more Vacation Bible School to go because West Portsmouth campus gets it on August the 5th, and that week, I'm looking forward to that. I get a chance to do it all over again. Now, we love children at DC Church. Every Sunday morning, we have a total of about 160 children in this campus and over 40 children at the other campus. So about 200 children every week are involved in this ministry. They learn about Jesus, how to live a good life. They have their own worship time. It's a wonderful experience. And listen, if you have kids, you don't have a church home. If you have a church, keep on going. It's wonderful. If you don't have a place to go for church, try us out. Your kids want to be in church. They want to be and experience what we do every Sunday morning here, which, by the way, is very much like we did all during the week at Vacation Bible School. Now, I normally ask one of the people who attends here, I normally preach about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Right now, I'm speaking through 1 Corinthians. I saw some kids in the back a while ago. The people were singing and having a good time on stage, and they were as bored as they could be. I said to one of the dads, if your kids are bored now, wait till the sermon starts, okay? But I'm only going to speak very briefly this morning, just for a few minutes, which reminds me of a joke. This church had a plaque, a large plaque in the foyer, honoring with their names the people, men and women, who had died in the military. And a little kid was going by the plaque and looked up at it, turned to his dad, and he said, Dad, what's that plaque for? Oh, that's for the men and women who died in the service. The kid said, the first service or the second service? I don't want anybody dying in the service, okay? So I'm not going to speak very long. I'll speak very simply. And we are using our Vacation Bible School passage, what we use all week long, as the guide for every part of Vacation Bible School. It's found in 2 Peter chapter 1, the first part of verse 3. We call it 3a. We've got it on the screens for you, and we're going to do exactly what the kids did all week long. We're going to read it out loud. You've already read it once. We're going to read it again. Now, this is from the New International Reader's Version, NIRV. Reader's Version is a simplified New International Version for children, for those who have English second language. So, we read this all week long, and I don't know where this came from. You're not supposed to do this, but when you finish the passage, all the kids said, nerve. Yeah, we're the church with the nerve, I tell you that. So we're going to read it together, and we're going to do it just like the kids did it, okay? God's power has given us everything we need to lead a godly life. 2 Peter 1, 3a, nerve. That's hilarious. I love that. We have a powerful God. The language here in the first part of 2 Peter chapter 1 has the name of Jesus and the name of God being used interchangeably. And so what we're saying is that Jesus is God, and as God has power, Jesus has power. God has the power to change your life. Jesus had the power to die for you and by His death change your life. You may be facing all kinds of problems, difficulties, challenges. You may be down in the dumps today. You may think there's no hope whatsoever. But let me tell you what Scripture says. Let me tell you what we believe. We believe in a God of power who can change your life, who can do great things with you and in you. This past Thursday, We had a big storm. Did you hear about this? You heard this, right? We had a big storm coming through. I went out on the porch. We have a screened-in porch. We have panels that slide up and down to close the porch in. So I was on the porch, laying on the sofa, listening to music on my headphones. I fell asleep, and I felt a few drops of rain hitting me, and I woke up. But nothing really big was happening. My wife came in and said, "Ernie, a storm's coming." Started raising the panels. And inside of 5 minutes, we had hurricane-force winds. We lost our power for over 8 hours. The church property had extensive damage done. We had trees down throughout our property, and some of them were already cleaned up and taken away. And we still have some damage to be repaired. You may see it. One of the houses I went to on Friday morning, I drove the VBS bus. I enjoyed that. One house that I went to, they still did not have power. And those kids smelled great. Now, in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, we have a story of the disciples crossed the Sea of Galilee in their fishing boat. Jesus is in the back of the boat, and he falls asleep, much like I did on my porch. He has some cushions there, and he's just snoring, visiting the land of Nod, having a great time sleeping. And a big storm comes up, a storm very much like what happened Thursday night, hurricane-force winds. And the disciples, being experienced fishermen, think any moment they're going to be sunk and die. They go wake Jesus up and say, "Jesus, don't you know what's happening? There's a storm all around us." And Jesus gets up and he goes to the front of the boat and he says, this is a loose translation, "Stop!" And he turns to look at the disciples and says, "What's wrong with you guys? Don't you believe anything?" You face some very big problems and challenges. But don't you forget that you have a powerful God, a powerful Savior in Jesus. He can step into whatever problem you're having right now, and he simply can say, "Stop." And he might also say, "What's wrong with you? Don't you trust me? Stop." We have a powerful God who can display his power in your life and change whatever circumstance you are in immediately. And what his power is meant for is to help you bit by bit, step by step, take on what it means to be a believer, to grow as a Christian, to get deeper in your faith. He's given you everything you need, Peter says, to face life, be successful, have victory over your circumstances, everything you need to grow and mature and become what God wants you to be. He's given you everything. I'm preaching through 1 Corinthians right now, and Paul in 1 Corinthians says the exact same thing in chapter 1. God's given you every spiritual gift you need to be successful. He has. Now, you may not remember this. You may not know it. It's okay, but I'm helping you discover it now. That God has power that can come into your life to change your life. We had a video game theme this week, and I think the reason that we chose this, the reason the people who wrote our material chose this is that video games have levels. And in the levels, there are things you can pick up or grab a hold of that gives you a power or ability for that test you're getting ready to face. Let me give you something happened in my life. Back in the mid-'80s, I got a Macintosh computer. And one of the first games that came out from the Macintosh was called Dark Castle. I think it's a legendary game now, Dark Castle. And I played it. What you do is you go into a castle and you have to go through all the different challenges of the castle to get to the throne room where you take on the evil king and defeat him. Well, I never got past the foyer. I already mentioned foyer once today. I think I'll mention it again. I never got past the foyer. And I was really proud of myself. I had scored 500,000 some points. Well, at that time, my oldest son, Josh, was 5 years old. And what I didn't know was that during the afternoon and night before I got home from doing what pastors do, he was playing this game, Dark Castle. And I walked in, and he was playing again. I thought to myself, isn't that cute? My 5-year-old son is playing Dark Castle. And I walked up to the computer, and he had scored more than 5 million points. He had done 10 million more than the best. In fact, I found out that he had scored over 8 million on several occasions. And folks, let me tell you how the game works. There's different levels. One level is you go into a dungeon. And in the dungeon, you have to pull a lever to open the next door to go into another part of the castle. But there's several levels to choose from. You pull the wrong lever, a 500-pound weight would fall out of the ceiling and smush you flat. And he would go up to the lever, and I would always pull the wrong lever, get smushed. He was pulling the right lever, go through the door every time. I said, Josh, how do you do this? Well, it was a dungeon. And there were men hanging on the walls being tortured. They were in chains. And if you reach for the wrong lever, the men would go. And he found out, he discovered that. I didn't know. And then when you got up through that door and up to the battlements of the castle, a bolt of lightning would hit you right before you got to the next challenge. And you would actually turn into a skeleton and ash and fall into a pile on top of the castle. I never could get past that. And he showed me that there was a shield you grab off the wall, and when the bolt of lightning comes, you put it over your head. Lightning doesn't destroy you. My 5-year-old son discovered that, going from level to level. Well, about 10 years later, we had a Nintendo, and my kids were playing Street Fighter. Now, they're 15 and 13. Josh, 15, Cal, 13. Said, Dad, we want you to play with us. So I said, I'm really bad. No, play with us. I got down the floor. I'm playing with them. And I keep getting beaten over and over again. I said, I don't understand why I'm getting beat. I can't get this. And Cal looked at me and says, Dad, you got to use the hookins. I don't know what the hookins is. What do you mean the hookins? And Cal said, let me show you, Dad. He took the controller, one just like this one here, except small. Took the controller, and as the fight went on, the man would cross his arms like this. A ball of fire would come out of his wrists, and he would go, "To hookins!" It is so funny. So I learned how to go, "To hookins!" So moving from level to level, grabbing hold of things that will help us have a power for that moment to go to the next level of our play in the game. God's provided for us spiritual gifts, abilities, power from within, all kinds of things to face this world and go from level to level to grow and mature. Now let me tell you about your children. You may already know this. You probably already do. The world is a perverted and ugly place. And what breaks my heart is that I see all these children come through Vacation Bible School, even through the ministry that we have on Sunday mornings. I see later on many kids end up living the life of those people who don't know Jesus, twisted, tortured, hurt by the world. And you don't want your kids to have that. You want your kids to discover the power of God. You want your kids to move from level to level to level, not of worldly ability, but from level to level of knowing Jesus, knowing who He is, so they can have a successful and good life. That's what you want for your kids. You want your kids in church. Moms and dads, they can't drive. Are you getting this? Most of you all live too far even to walk. Only way they'll ever be in church is if you bring them. And when you bring your kids to church, something may happen to you too. You may get saved. Happened to my mom and dad. I didn't go to church until I was 16 years old. Went because of baseball. A baseball team went to church. Mom and dad hadn't been to church the whole life. And because I went to church, they brought me. And because they brought me, they heard the gospel, they got saved. And my dad changed from night to day. I've never seen a man more changed by the gospel of Jesus Christ than my father. God can do that with you. He can do it in your family. He can do it with your kids. He can move you with His power from one level to another. You have all you need. It's there for you to grab a hold of if you'll just grab it. And what God wants to have happen is that you discover a godly life. What's a godly life? Live like God. Have power over those circumstances, those difficulties, those challenges that you're facing. Live a godly, and you want your children to live a godly life. You know, a few weeks ago, I talked to our graduates, and I said the same thing, and I'm going to say it again because it was so good. Well, I said it only one time, you know. Thanks for laughing. I appreciate it. Yeah. I'm almost finished, if you didn't know that. I'm almost finished. But I have a test I use for my own life. I use this to evaluate myself all the time. I imagine myself as a very old man, which is getting closer and closer. I'm sitting on the front porch of my house, wearing my sweater, in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth. I'm yelling at the kids, "Kids, get up alone!" You know, do that sort of thing, you know. And I'm thinking about my life, and I'm looking back at my life, and I'm thinking to myself, did I take all the opportunities God gave me? Did I live the kind of life that God wanted me to live? Did I do the kind of things God wanted me to do? And so when I'm living my life every day, I think with an evaluation, not from the point I'm standing at now, but from the end of my life looking back. I want to be able to settle the portion of an old man and say, I did what God wanted me to do and live the way God wanted me to live. Now, let's extend that. Don't think about your own life only. Think about your children. Imagine your son, your daughter right now, just a little kid, but 100 years old, sitting on their front porch, 100 years in the future. And they're thinking about their life. Don't you want your children to look back on their life and say to themselves, I lived the kind of life God wanted me to live? That kind of thing that your kids will think about in 100 years from now starts right now. Now, I'll tell you what God doesn't want your kids to do. I mean, He may want it, but it's a secondary thing. He doesn't want them to play Major League Baseball. Doesn't want to be a Major League Soccer star or any other sport. And sometimes they get confused along the way. You know, we convince ourselves that our kids are going to be something great outside the church, outside of God, when they really have very little chance to be able to do it. I mean, only 1 out of 1 million kids who plays baseball will ever play in the major leagues. Now, I have 2 sons who played baseball from the time they were 4 years of age all the way up through their teen years. Both of them played for Western Branch High School. My son Cal was a good hitter. My son Josh was an elite athlete. He was all Tidewater as a pitcher, all state of Virginia. Went to the University of Virginia, pitched for them for 4 years, played 2 years professional baseball. His fastball topped out at 94 miles an hour. He had a plus major league slider. He had a great ability. He struck out Ryan Zimmerman 4 times. Now, just to balance it out, Ryan also hit a 440-foot home run off of him, too. So, and my son never came close to whiffing the major leagues. But he does love Jesus. That's really what was most important, wasn't it? What your God wants for your children is that they know His power, they know His strength, they know His glory, and they become godly as He is godly.